our next startup ecosystem is Rotterdam. We have Lars from Up Rotterdam that will be presenting the startup ecosystem. While he joins, well, actually he did already join. Rotterdam is the 5th top ranking ecosystem in the Netherlands, 52nd in Western Europe, and it has quite a strong economy in many different fields. Especially, it is known as the gateway to Europe because it is home to Europe's largest port, as you can see in Lars's background. It is also world renowned for its innovative water management techniques and infrastructure. City has been at the forefront of transforming its post-industrial areas to innovative and sustainable urban zones with an aim to be carbon neutral before 2050. With a plethora of museums, theaters, music venues, and architectural marvels, Rotterdam boasts a vibrant cultural scene, attracting both residents and tourists. That's why over 170 nationalities live in Rotterdam. The startup ecosystem in Rotterdam is growing in a rapid speed, with a lot of focus on maritime innovation, transportation, energy, and environment. But I will let Lars to share more on that. Thank you, Lars.
Perfect. Thank you for that nice introduction, Mahmoud. And let me start by saying it's great to hear all the startup ecosystems, and I hope to visit many of you very soon. In the next 6 minutes, allow me to introduce you to the Rotterdam startup ecosystem and particularly what we've been doing to help startups get to scale. I'd like to do a first test to see if the audio works. So if you hear audio, please do this, and otherwise, no. No? No audio? Okay, then I'll just do the voiceover in my without the video. Let me start by saying that you mentioned Rotterdam number 5. It depends a little bit on what data you look. So we do position ourselves together with the capital in the Netherlands, Amsterdam, and Amsterdam Delta is the number 3 startup ecosystem in Europe. You mentioned Europe's best connected city. I think that is thanks to the port to begin. But for those of you who have not been in the Netherlands, Rotterdam is the 2nd largest city, and we house about 1,600 startups, about 20% of all the Dutch startups in our region, together with a 50 billion market valuation, raising 1 billion in the past 3 years. And I think the most important part is that the investment amount has tripled over the past 3 years, so there's a rapid growth there. And these startups and scale-ups employ almost 50,000 people, so 1 in every 20 Rotterdammers works for a startup or a scale-up. We believe that startup ecosystems are all about the founders that live in those ecosystems. So I'll just give you 3 examples of founders that are really driving the transitions in the region. One, it was a near unicorn, is Mendix, a B2B software company that has really created the space for low-code software. Started in 2005, got funding in 2012, moved to the US, and was acquired by Siemens in 2018, and to date is still a large employer and also a driver of digital transitions. But for instance, a company like the Ocean Cleanup, founded in 2013 by a very young Boyan Slat, who is clearing the oceans of plastics, attracted investors like Peter Thiel and Mark Benioff that really joined his cause. So next to digital and zero waste, we have companies that are driving the energy transition, such as Hard Hyperloop, which is a Hyperloop system that provides zero emission fast transport. Initially started at Delft University, but soon moved to Rotterdam and is now rolling out his test facilities all over Europe, raising substantial amounts also from the European Union to scale to the next level. So you'll find in our region quite a few notable scale-ups that drive digital transitions, energy transition, and circular economy transition. That's also the transitions that are important for our region. On top of that, you'll find a strong selection of companies in life science and health, and like Mahmoud said, in mobility and logistics, since we are a port city. Now, if you look at the innovation ecosystem, I think it's developed quite a bit over the past years. We are now home to 21 incubators, and there's many workspaces to choose from. And I think the interesting thing to notice is that the incubators and accelerators have specific topics. So there's the ones on deep tech, like Yes Delft, connected to the university, but there's also Maritime Gold Port Accelerator and many, many more. We are home to 3 leading universities, particularly the University of Delft is one of Europe's top leading tech universities, particularly on deep tech, and Erasmus University on business. And next to that, a strong medical university. So we see that the talent coming out of these universities really helps startups to get to the next level. And then when it comes to funding, we are home to more than 200 active investors in the region. But quite importantly to know that there is a public deep tech fund to invest particularly in the early stage high risk funds. And for instance, there's also a graduate entrepreneur, which is a alumni fund that was started by alumni from the universities. And by now is with over 60 million in assets under management, the largest seed fund of the Netherlands. And on top of that, we have great CVCs like Shell Ventures, who have a 1.4 billion funds to invest in companies. Now, there's many startups in the region, but what we noticed in 2019, the challenge for startups is really to scale. So the program that I'm personally responsible for with a team of 6 is a scale-up program that addresses the main needs of startups that need to go to the next level. That is talent, access to international markets, and access to capital. And I'll just give you some really practical examples of what to expect. So for instance, when it comes to access to talent, we've ensured that the job and the vacancies of the top scaling companies are connected in one platform so everybody can find them. And we do active outreach to universities, both in the Netherlands as well as outside. So we go to Boston, MIT, and further to make sure that the jobs at the scale-ups are filled at the fastest pace. Secondly, we make sure that our scale-ups enter international markets really soon, because the Netherlands is a relatively small country. They need to move fast. So we also take them to events that were mentioned before, like CES, Slush, Web Summit on targeted missions. And we prepare them also to go to those markets. And when it comes to access to capital, I think particularly in the early stage, it's relatively easy to find capital. But we focus on the 2 million plus range, where we make one-on-one investor introductions with international VCs for our top scale-ups. And the most important part of the program, next to talent, market, and capital, is actually access to the network, because we strongly believe that founders help founders. So we organize a plethora of events ranging from private dinners to roundtable sessions to social gatherings to make sure that founders find each other to connect to each other. And if you'd like to learn more about these founders and meet them, you're welcome at Upstream Festival that is organized in May every year, the 28th and the 29th of May, by more than 60 public and private co-creation partners for a 2-day startup event, attracting over 3,000 people. So if you want to join that, you're very welcome. There's a QR code on the bottom, upstreamfestival.com. This is how we help startups get to scale in Rotterdam, and I really invite you to come and visit us soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Lars. It was great hearing from you. And honestly, among many cities that I've been, it's one of my favorites. So yeah, thanks a lot for sharing that.
You're welcome.